Hello, fight fans. I'm that boxing writer, Jeremy Herriges, here for FanSided.com, joined by special guest Tyrone Spong, the jack of all trades when it comes to combat sports. Tyrone, thank you so much for joining me today.
No, thank you guys for having me, man.
Now, you've got a huge record in several different combat sports. I'm seeing an MMA record of 2-0, boxing record of 14-0, 13 KOs, kickboxing record of 91-7-1 with 60 knockouts. Does that encapsulate everything?
I think, yeah, close to it. I mean, I have 138 fights.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a time when not everything was documented. The internet wasn't as big as it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
14 professional boxing fights and 2 MMA fights, correct.
Mm-hmm. How have you been spending your time during the pandemic? Have you been training actively? What's been occupying you?
Well, I have used this time to work on my craft, of course, and I'm fortunate enough to have a gym at my house, it's been quite spicy in the gym. I mean, I have guys like Rashad Evans, Thiago Silva, Jairzinho, Biggie Boy Rosenstruck, Anthony Johnson, Greg Hardy, just to name a few that pop by, and we train, we spar, we do whatever. So, I haven't had any lack of training when I wanted it. There is times that I just didn't feel like it because, I've been doing this for almost 2 decades now, training and fighting. And, the thing is, I know how to get in shape. I know how to prepare myself for a fight. And at certain times, you got to take some your foot off the gas pedal and just cruise through it a little bit, because when it comes time to actually prepare for a fight, you're burned out.
You've had a lot of different training experiences for the wealth of combat knowledge that you've attained over the years. Who are you currently training with? What gym are you training out of?
So my boxing I do with Mundo Boxing, but for this year I've mainly trained, at home at the gym I have here, training with, like I said, Rashad, Greg Hardy, Jairzinho Rosenstruck, Thiago Silva, and I go to Sanford MMA because my coach there, Henry Hoof, he has a great team. So I go to spar there with the guys and play around a little bit.
I'm hearing a lot of MMA names there. Is that any indicator of where you're kind of leaning towards for the future, or is it just something to keep you active?
Both. Something to keep me active, keep the body battle ready. And I like to get different looks. I sparred so much with world-class boxers, the best of the best. You're talking about Anthony Joshua. I spent a month there, over a month in the UK, helping him prepare for his fight against Andy Ruiz. I sparred Luis Ortiz. I sparred with Filip Hrgovic. Some of those names might be known by the fans, some not, but all top-notch, world-class boxers. But I like to have an advantage, and MMA fighters punch a little differently than the boxers, and vice versa. So I just keep myself prepared for everything. And as you just call out my record, I mean, there's not much that I haven't seen yet, but I just try to keep sharp and do whatever. I was in Vegas last week with my manager, Ali Abdelaziz, And I sparred with Francis Ngannou, you know, just to see what's out there and keep myself sharp.
As far as the future, I'm curious, are you currently signed with a promotional outfit of any of the sports? Are you actively seeking that? And is there any of the combat sports that's the front runner for your services at the moment?
The front runner, it would still have to be boxing, you know, because I invested so much of my time, my talent, my skills into boxing. And the thing is that, you know, I like a challenge, and it has never been done before for somebody to reach the highest pinnacle in boxing, coming not from boxing. I'm a kickboxer, MMA fighter that turned into a boxer, and that's just by the grace of God and the God-given talent that I have that I'm able to do this. But it's not easy, and it's a big challenge. You could see a lot of MMA guys or kickboxers have tried in the past, but they can never reach the highest pinnacle of the sport. And I'm there. I'm doing it. I'm right there in the top of all the disciplines. So you know, it's a big achievement that I'm proud of.
You talked about how, you know, your kickboxing experience, which is obviously very vast, and then you went to MMA for the 2 fights. While you were training there, I was curious to see that you were with Black Zillions, and you were part of the same team as Alistair Overeem, who you once fought during your kickboxing career and also sparred with in the early days as well. What's your relationship like with Alistair Overeem, who you also, you know, I think spent quite a bit of time around?
I don't really have a relationship as of now with him. We have a big history. You know, we were cool, then we fall out, then we're cool again. But to be honest, it was never from my part. You know, I don't have a problem with the guy, but I heard, this is what I heard. I can't, you know, I'm not somebody that likes to assume stuff. So if there's something, if I don't like you, I'll tell you to your face. But I heard that he made a statement that he doesn't like me anymore, or that he has something against me. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. So when I see him, there's no bad blood or whatever. But I'm pretty simple, to be honest. You know, if you like me, we're cool. If you say fuck me, I say fuck you. I don't really care, you know. But you know, he's doing. He's a great combat sport athlete. I mean, just look at his track record. He's one of the few. He's been in this sport for so long, and he's still beating these top prospects. So you know, as a fighter, all the props to him. As a human being, I mean, like I said, I don't have any problems with him. But if he has a problem with me, all he has to do is say it. But I doubt it. He's very mature now. You know, he grew a lot in all aspects. So, but if you know, if there's anything wrong, he never said it to me, so I can't speak about it.
As far as, you know, kind of looking at that time, I know that you've spent so much energy and time, a long history within kickboxing. And then in 2014, you suffered that leg injury against Gokhan Saki. I'm curious, when that occurred to you and you had to go through the surgery and the rehabs and things of that nature, did you ever question the future of your combat sports career?
Of course. The moment that injury happened, the moment I was laying on the floor, the only thing I thought was, shit, is this it? Is it done? You know, but you know, I'm mentally a very strong person. You know, bones break and they heal. That's just it. You know, it's not the end of the world. If you want, I truly believe that if you want something, you put in the effort, you work for it, you can achieve it. So, you know, I overcame that injury pretty fast, to be honest. You know, I was up and walking like 48 hours after my surgery. I was trying to walk without any crutches and everything, just pushing myself. It was a horrible time, mentally, just going into a dark and a dark place. I'm very depressed, and just I became very dangerous, to say so, because I can get pretty dark, and I was in a dark place, my friend.
Was it a depression thing? Was it the anger within inside you that was starting to come out in negative ways? When you say a dark place, how do you reference that?
I think just not knowing, anger, frustration, and it's in those times that you get to know who your real people are as well, because one time you're the man and you're flying everywhere, private jets and you name it, and the other moment, that all is gone. Not that was ever that much important to me, but just people that you think that are your friends and close to you, they disappear like snow for the sun. And I don't know, man. I was just, I became very depressed and just dangerous. This is the best way I can describe it. Self a little bit of a self-destructive as well, and just yeah. I think in that time to get over it, I probably needed to seek some help. Maybe, but being a stubborn guy that I am, I didn't. But hey, we overcame it. I did it on my own strength, and it helped me grow a lot as well. I grew a lot from it, and became even stronger than I already was, mentally and physically as well.
Going from that moment to MMA and then picking up boxing at the age of 29, what was that transition like? Was it difficult at first, or did it seem like a natural fit?
Oh, hell yeah. It's very difficult. You're talking about a total different discipline, different skill set, different, the punches are just so perfect, the distance, the footwork. And like I said, also a little bit mentally, like I said, here you come. And for example, I did it the hard way. Nothing that I achieved in my career was ever handed to me. I did it all the hard way. I fought literally for everything that I have today. And here, like you have some guys like Conor McGregor or whatever who talked his way into, which is smart. Don't get me wrong. I don't knock it, but here he went talking so much shit, and he talked himself into the fight that every boxer would like in that weight division. And he fought Floyd Mayweather, and he made a shitload of money. But that's just not my style. I did it the hard way. I started from the bottom with boxing. I accomplished a record that I'm currently sitting on of 14-0 with 13 knockouts. And I had to start at the little shit shows, and here I was, like I said, flying private jets and whatever to my fights, in the biggest of the biggest suites, in Vegas, you name it. And I started from scratch in boxing, fighting in the most dirty shitholes you can imagine. And I walk into the locker room. This is my first professional boxing fight. I remember it. Dirty ass fucking locker room, like dirty shithole. And I fought a guy that was 6'7", big guy. And I walk in there, and you could, it was so noisy. And I walked in the locker room, and everybody went quiet because, damn, that's the big Tyrone Spong walking in. Like everybody, they give you the respect, and they're like, shit, that's Tyrone Spong. But to me, it's like, damn, I downgraded. Fuck. Look, I was fighting in sold out arenas, And now here I am walking in this piss room, you know. But it's a humbling experience, and I appreciate it. I'm happy I went through that, you know. I'm happy. It shows you what the real world, and that's I like to live in the real world, not in this fake social media world, or you know, this fantasy world that everything is rainbows and sunshine. No, it's dark out there, and I'm okay with it.
You mentioned the name Floyd Mayweather not that long ago. And I read somewhere that you worked with Floyd Mayweather Sr. at some point, and what was that experience like? And eventually, how did you work your way to Pedro Diaz?
So the first time I came to America, I was 2021. I came, first I came to Miami. I trained with the Gracies a little bit, just to feel it out. You know, I was 20, and they were like ecstatic about me down here in Miami. They's like, yo, I came with an agent that I worked with back then, and they went to the agent like, yo, this guy has to come here. He has to train. This guy is an incredible athlete, and he picks up so fast. He needs to, like, we could work with him. So I stayed here in Miami for 2 weeks, and then we had a trip to Vegas to work with Floyd Sr. Because he was training Oscar De La Hoya at that time. And Rob Garcia was Oscar's strength and conditioning coach. And so I come there, first day in Vegas, fucking tired from the flight and everything. And I walk in the gym. They have me sign a waiver right away. Floyd Sr. didn't even look at me. He's just like, yo, okay, sign the waiver and get changed. So, you know, I did that, and I didn't have my mouthpiece, you know, and they're like, oh, you're going to spar. I'm like, yo, I told the guy I was with, I was like, yo, we just came off the flight, man. I'm tired. I need to take a shit. And, you know, but hey, if you tell me sparring, I'm not a bitch. So I was like, okay, I have no mouthpiece. There's like, okay, get some of the tape and fold, like make it thick and fold it and put it in your mouth.
Wow.
So I can make my own mouthpiece with fucking the wrapping tape, you know, mouthpiece. And I went in there and I sparred a bronze medalist from the Olympics.
Wow.
And he was back then I was like 175 pounds, 178 pounds, and this guy was like 190, 195. And I went in there and it was going pretty good, but he got the best of me. He got the best of me that day. You know, he kind of roughed me up a little bit, but like I said, I was tired. I needed to take a shit, but I don't know the place, so I'm not gonna tell them like, hey, you know, I need to take a shit. So I went there fucking, and I was so mad. I was so mad because he got the best of me that day. And as we left, I told the guy that I was with, like, hey, listen, I need shoes and I need to get some groceries to get right for this. So I went to Walmart. We bought some running shoes, and I got my groceries so I could cook for myself and eat proper, because we were eating so much shit, junk food and everything. So I did that. And then a week later, I had to spar again. And I fucked him up. I fucked him up. I did so good, and I really did a number on him. And then from that day, they almost had me spar every day, and they gave me a nickname. They called me Amsterdam because I lived in Amsterdam back then. And they were like, yo, Amsterdam, come spar, you know, like, and I was sparring these guys. And every sparring, I was just getting better and progressing. And, you know, Roger Mayweather, may rest in peace. That was Floyd's Senior's younger brother, and they had a love-hate relationship. Like these guys, they were always competing with each other, you know, because Roger was training Floyd Jr. and you know that whole story that's too long to go in about right now, but they didn't really always get along. So what Floyd would do, Senior, he would have me spar Roger's boys, you know, the guys that he was training. And I used to just beat the shit out of them. And then there's a video online where Floyd is talking about it, like, yo, this Tyrone, he has to stop this abusing and mistreating the guys here in the gym. He's putting Pampers on their asses, and they had me spar every day. And then Roger was like, yo, what are you? You're Bruce Lee? Because I heard you're like doing kickboxing or whatever. You never boxed before? I was like, no, not really, not like this. So back then they wanted to offer me even back then they wanted to offer me a boxing contract with Top Rank from Bob Arum, because we were training at the Top Rank gym in Vegas. And it was just too big of a step for me at that age. I was thinking differently. I was making decent money in kickboxing for a 20, 21-year-old. I just had my first child. I had a daughter. And it was scary for me to make that move. And then 5 years later, I got the opportunity to come back, work with Rashad Evans. And, you know, I keep saying that I owe so much to him because he's like my big brother. He's the reason I moved out here. And, you know, I was 25. I was a little bit more mature. So I made the step and I moved to South Florida.
So when you're in South Florida and you decide to go into boxing, is that how you hooked up with Pedro Diaz? Was it the location factor, or what brought you two together?
No, it was, so first I moved here to help Rashad with his striking and his training. And then Glenn Robinson, who was my former manager at the Blackzilians. So something happened in sparring, right? I never did MMA before. I was always strong and just athletic. So I was doing good in sparring. And then this guy, I don't want to call his name. I don't want to disrespect him. But, you know, he took me down and he was going at it. He was trying to, you know, and I couldn't really get up at that time. So, and he was hammering me, trying to fucking knock my head off on the ground, you know, with ground and pound and shit. So eventually I worked my way to my feet, and I was pissed, so I knocked him out. I knocked him out stiff, cold. And everybody was freaked out, like, what the fuck? And this was a top contender in the UFC, you know? And I knocked him out stiff. And, you know, everybody saw my potential. So Glenn Robinson approached me to do MMA. And I said, well, why not? You know, I don't shy away from a challenge. And that's how I joined the Blackzilians and finalized the whole move here, permanent and everything. And then Pedro Diaz came into the Blackzilians to help some of the MMA guys with boxing. And this is kind of the story of my life, bro. I started training with Pedro a little bit because he came in, and after a few rounds, he called Glenn and he was like, yo, you have this one guy here in the gym, Tyrone Spong. He needs to box, you know? And, you know, I was doing my boxing training with him while I was doing kickboxing. And then after, you know, after the leg injury, I saw that as a sign. You know, I was already a 10-time world champion in kickboxing. And I saw it as a sign to do something else. You know, I was like, you know, maybe this is a sign for me to just focus on boxing. And that's what I did. So, you know, I'm a loyal guy. Pedro was my coach, so I stick with Pedro, and I worked my way up to 14-0.
Mm-hmm. You were kind of talking about two different spectrums here. There's the positive of being at the right place at the right time. You talked about the other part where, you know, real life is challenging and it's difficult, the leg injury. And last year it looked like it was going to be so promising. And then obviously the fallout from what happened before your fight with Alexander Usyk, the test for Clomiphene from VADA. What went through your mind when they told you that you tested positive for Clomiphene? How did you handle that, and what were you feeling at the time?
Just disbelief at first, you know, just disbelief. I'm a firm guy that, you know, if you did something wrong and you get caught, just own up to it and face the consequences. You know, I'm a man's man. I'm as real as it gets with that. But I was just in disbelief, and it was just a whole dirty thing. Like, nobody from the promotion reached out to me. Nobody called me or my management, nothing. I had to read this shit on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody informed me like, hey, what went wrong, whatever. And the crazy thing is, I voluntarily signed up for WADA testing. I did that. I signed up for it. I did the testing. They tested me random. So with random testing, for the people that don't know, they show up at whatever time at your front door. When they call, you have to pick up, you have to give your whereabouts, and they'll drive up to you and they'll test you. So I've been tested like 5 times leading up to the fight. And the strange thing, because this substance, Clomiphene.
Yeah, Clomiphene, yeah.
Yeah, I never heard of it. And but obviously once they accuse you of something, you're going to look into it. And I saw that the Clomiphene stays in your systems for months on. You know, it's not just something that gets out of your system real quick. And what didn't add up to me, which later came true, was that my first test I passed, my second, my third one I passed, and then the fourth one came back with a at first finding. You know, at first finding, that's what they said. And then the fifth one that I did came out clean. But in between the fourth and the fifth were only 4 days. So you do the math. How can this substance, this at first finding, be out of your system in 4 days? It can't, you know. So they never suspended me, nothing. I just think that, you know, I have my ideas about it. I don't want to get all you know, all crazy about it. I said my piece. I didn't get suspended. I just think that they played a dirty game, you know, at the last minute, because once it happened after I faced off with him, you know, we were face to face, taking media pictures and everything, and suddenly his manager walked up and said, hey, let's bounce, and they left. And like 40 minutes later, I read that shit online, and I'm like, how, you know? So, I mean, it is what it is at this point. It happened. I missed out on a great opportunity, and I do believe that I had very good chance of beating him.
I just doing some reading on it, you know, I think 9 times out of 10 when, you know, a sports writer or a sports fan hears that, you know, a dirty test from VADA, we assume that, yeah, you're dirty. What made your scenario very interesting was that what I read was you had an adverse finding on September 22nd and September 26th. However, you tested clean for VADA on October 2nd, and then on September 16th, through the Illinois State Athletic Commission, you also tested clean for those 2 tests. So you had clean, dirty, clean. And that's where the wiring says, well, what's up? You don't see that too often.
No.
You know, did Vada ever give you an explanation like, oh, well, their test was different than our test, or
not at all. The only thing I got was a warning. I'm not gonna call names, you know, I don't want to burn any bridges or whatever, but I want to speak my piece and say the truth to the fans out there, and for all the media and the writers, that don't judge if you don't know the whole story. Like, I got a letter that if I kept bashing them and making them look bad, they would sue me. You know, like that's how deep it went. Like, these motherfuckers know that I was a big threat for Usyk, you know, and I think they underestimated the fact that I had a big chance of beating him until we were face to face, and they could feel my energy, you know, that I didn't come there to just be a victim. I came to take your fucking head off, you know. So I don't know, you know, and for them to cancel the fight that quick without doing some more research, because if they would do some more research, they would know that the next test was clean. So it was at first finding. At first finding, it's not, you know, like it wasn't definite, like it is dirty. It was at first finding. So at first means you have to do some more research on it, you know, and they took that away from me, but I'm at peace with it. I'm okay with it. It happened. What can you do? That will never come back. You know, that passed. So we got to move on to bigger and better things.
It doesn't seem like, you know, I feel like when I talk to you, that, yeah, you're angry about the situation, but you don't hold a lot of bitterness after that. Did you make peace with all that happened? And do you feel like it ultimately hurt you, or do you feel like you still have plenty of opportunities there?
Like I told you, I went through that dark phase, and I can get there every now and then, you know, don't get me wrong. It's just depression is something that's real. But what I've learned from going through that is not holding onto this shit, you know, like you can't be bitter and hurt yourself mentally and physically, you know. So I think that my bad.
Oh, it's okay. I've got kids too.
The thing is that like I said, you're hurting yourself more than that you're actually doing something beneficial for your career, for your mental state and everything. So what can you do? Yes, of course I'm mad. I lost on a huge payday, something that I worked all those years for. You know, I was gonna make good money, and I had the opportunity to a world title there. I mean, who wouldn't be mad? But if that's taken away from you, what are you gonna do? You're gonna sit there and sob about it or whatever, or you're gonna pick yourself up and move on, you know? And that's just what I did. And I think the fact that you asked me if it hurt me or did something good for me, I think both. I think both. I think the intelligent people that are following the sport and look a little further than just a clickbait or an article, they will know that these guys had some type of worry and fear for me, you know. So yes, it does add something to me, but it did something bad for me, and which I just called out, is that I missed a huge payday, and I missed a big opportunity for a world title. But I believe I can get it again.
Final question. I know we're running low on time here. You've talked about all of your experiences, whether it's sparring for boxing or MMA or kickboxing, and all those experiences. And I'm going to focus in on just punching. what's the hardest you've ever been hit? Whether it's kickboxing, boxing, what moment was that? Do you remember like the hardest you've ever been punched before? And if so, who did it?
Fuck, man, in kickboxing, it was in a fight, I think with Nathan Corbett, and controversial fight, the first fight. You know, when somebody knocks you down, it's just a flash, right? Normally, it's just a flash, and you're down, and you don't even know what happened. This motherfucker hit me so hard that it actually hurt. I felt the punch, it hurt, and I was down. And I remember that was one of the hardest. He probably just caught me clean, but it was hard. And in boxing, man, all these motherfuckers hit hard. All the heavyweights that are, you know, and I sparred the elite of the elite, you know, like I said, Luis Ortiz, Anthony Joshua, Filip Hrgovic, Ivan Dichko. I mean, these are all like, I'm talking about the smallest one is 6'4", and the rest is from 6'6" all the way up to 6'9". I mean, these are big guys, and they know how to punch. They're all Olympic medalist winners and big champions in the sport. And you know, it's not easy. It's not easy because I'm 6'2.5". I mean, but I have one thing: I pack a real punch.
Well, Tyrone, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your stories. It's quite a history in combat sports, and I think we certainly look forward to see what's next in the next chapter of your fighting career.
Thank you. We're gonna make the last part the best part. You know, that's my mindset. And huge shout out to Dominance MMA, Ali Abdelaziz, and everybody behind the scenes. They all know who they are. Thank you. You know, they're doing an amazing job, and that's why they're the best.
Well, best of luck on the future, and keep punching people hard.
Oh, don't worry about that. I do it with pleasure.
All right.